Welcome to Cyrious Garageworks. We're going to take a tour. I've got a bunch of cool stuff here. For those of you wondering why it's called Cyrious Garageworks, his last name might be Sear. We just come in here and start opening hoods, right?
Take a look what's underneath there, yeah.
This is a pretty sweet Z you got here.
Yeah, this one's pretty nice. We did pretty much a full restoration on this car. It's kind of nearing the finishing stages. It's obviously got the RB26.
Yeah, beautiful.
The cool thing about this car, it's kind of a no expense very sort of build. It's got air conditioning, it's got electric power steering.
Oh, wow.
It's got every suspension part you can buy for it from Arizona Z-car, and a bit of technical toy tuning parts as well in this one. Yeah, it's just going to be so awesome.
Gorgeous.
It's all finished. I mean, all brand new interior, everything new.
And it's not like a football-sized turbo.
No, I mean, the owner of this car wanted a really lively setup. The turbo probably is a hair small for this, but from what I've understood and what I've read from other guys doing the setup, this is a 3082R GTX. It should be a really lively setup for this car. Should make somewhere in the 400 wheel horsepower range, and a car that weighs, I don't know,
plenty for this, yeah.
2,200 pounds.
Yeah.
It should be awesome. And we didn't want to go like wide body with this car either, so you're kind of limited to how big of a tire you can put on it without actually flaring it out. So there was really no need to put a really massive turbo on it to make huge power, but it just was never going to put to the ground anyway. So we felt that it would be a really nice setup for this thing, and it should drive quite well.
No, it's a super clean swap. Still needs the rest of the interior, obviously.
Yes, yeah, we got all fresh carpet for it. It's got bride seats for it.
Nice.
You know, so everything will be freshened up and new. All the weather strips are new. We kind of did some cool stuff with the trim. We satined out all the trim. That's kind of my first time I've ever done that kind of setup.
Yeah.
So all the trim has been all satined out.
That's
the
beautiful.
door handles, everything that's kind of chrome has gone satin. It saves a little bit of money on getting stuff chrome, and I kind of thought it was a unique look for this car. It looks kind of factory, but it's not. You don't really notice it.
No, it's a nice detail.
Yeah,
it's super clean. You nailed the stance of it too.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of showroom stance right now. I think we'll be raising up a little bit when it goes on the street, but in here, I kind of want it, you know, sitting down, laying out. I mean, the rear, I think, is going to rub a little bit. She might need a little bit of adjusting, but the great thing with all the Techno Toy suspension is that it can be all adjusted. So track width can be adjusted, camber, everything. So you can nail down a stance of a car and not have it rub anywhere. So that's kind of where we're at with this one.
I like the wheel choice too.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with a set of rays, you know.
Legit.
Just,
TE 37Vs.
Those ones are legit. And yeah,
might need a set on my Celica. Call me, Volk. Call me.
Yeah, no, you can never go wrong with the legit set, and yeah, it just works out quite well in this car.
Well, take me for a rip when she's done.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. You guys have to come back when it's finished.
They don't just do old stuff; they do new stuff too, like this 370Z.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of Z's in here. We do a lot of 350s, 370s. You know, it's a great tuner car, really. There's a huge market for these cars. Tons of aftermarket parts, and relatively affordable as compared to a lot of other cars that you can modify these days. So we do a lot of these. This one in particular is basically a brand new 370. It's in for a twin turbo kit, a built motor, suspension. We're gonna do a whole pile of cool stuff for this one. So it's kind of cool. I mean, you can pick one of these up for, I don't know, like 30 grand brand new. You can throw a bunch of money at it and then have a Corvette killer, really. So,
well, this is just the showroom. There's a whole shop back there where they build even cooler shit. So let's go look at that. Is it safe to say that your shop is best known maybe for AE86 work?
We've done a lot of Corolla work. We pretty much see just about all of them in the GTA, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we've done a lot of like full-blown restorations on Corollas. This one is in for basically a full paint restoration.
Okay.
So we're gonna go back with the Panda paint job on this one. It had a Panda paint on it before, and it was in the greatest condition.
Right.
Someone did put a bunch of Bondo or rust, so it was showing its age. So yeah, we basically. You can buy quarter panels for these cars, but we find that the quality of them is not very good, so we try to use as much as a factory car as possible. So we've hand formed pretty much all of these pieces here. This has all been hand formed and repaired here, and we try to make it so a minimal amount of filler has to go on afterwards.
Beautiful.
And it's
really nice.
We roll them too, so you can run a really nice flush wheel on the inside.
Yeah, that's strong. Really
you
strong.
always want to make sure. We figure at this point you might as well make as much clearance for tires as possible, because guys are going to run wide wheels and all that kind of stuff.
So how many AE86 guys a month call you for like, I want a full restoration, bro?
We get a lot. We get a lot of calls from all over the U.S. and Canada. I don't think people realize how much it really costs to do all this stuff. I mean, we can have 200, 300, 400 hours in something like this. At $95 an hour, it adds up fast.
Big job, And
then parts as well. You know, these are 30, 35-year-old cars, and they need a lot of love. So it takes a lot of labor to kind of bring them back and do everything properly.
And if you're going to buy one and bring it to Sirius, buy it in like Arizona or Nevada.
Yes.
So it doesn't fix all this rust. Get yourself
You will
a clean
save
one.
yourself some money if you buy a really mint one that doesn't have a bunch of rust.
Yeah.
Rust is the killer of these things. The only problem with those cars is the interiors are beat.
Yeah, true.
And then you can't buy interiors. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you need to buy a really rusty Canadian car with good black interior, and then go buy yourself an Arizona car and just
Put them
mash
together.
the two together.
It's
Yeah.
the same battle I'm fighting with
You'll
the
save
Celica.
yourself a lot of money.
Yeah, good call. So Pat may be a pro drifter, known best for AE86s and now GT86s.
Yes.
But he's got a background with hot rods too, which is why this thing is in here. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, this is kind of a cool build. A customer bought this out of the US about 6 months ago. It was kind of a classically styled build. It had a small block Chevy and an automatic, and it's got pinstriping on the bottom.
Yeah.
Everyone spent a lot of time doing bodywork and interior, but it was a little bit lackluster to drive. It didn't have a lot of power. So the guy that owns this thing, he likes power. So we stuck a 535 horse LS3 in it and converted it to manual transmission as well. So this one's just rounding the final stages now. We've had the engine all in this thing a few times and mocked the whole exhaust up. We like to build everything, ahead of time, mock everything up, pull it all out, paint and detail everything, and then do a final install. So this one's finally on its final install. It's still got a few hours to go, but should be a really cool car when it's finished.
And on the total opposite end of the spectrum, they're doing a 22B conversion on a GC Impreza over here, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, we get such unique stuff in here. Yeah, this one, the customer was just like, hey, I want to do a 22B wide body on it. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a typical rusty Canadian Subaru.
Car,
so we unfortunately have to fix a lot of rust before you can even mount the kit on the car. But yeah, I mean, it's coming together. And once again, it's our same philosophy, completely strip the car down, take all the trim off. It's going the Rally Subaru Blue. So I don't
World Rally Blue.
Yeah, it's World Rally, that's what it is. Yeah, with some sick gold wheels and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't like to ever see the original color that was on cars. This one, unfortunately, we're not going to take the engine out and paint under here. We'll leave this all. He's planning on maybe doing a swap in the future, so when we do that, we'll strip all of this and paint body color under here. But for now, we're just focusing on doing the kit, the jams, fixing all the rust, and getting all that stuff done. So
big job. Well, this might be a big job, but I think the S30 that they're building over there is going to be even bigger. Let's go have a peek at that.
Sounds good.
A prime example of what we like to call organic lightning here in Canada. This car's had quite a bit of it.
Oh, it's rough.
This is an S30, an early S30.
Yeah,
right?
it's a very early one. I think it was like number 189.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got the numbers matching engine for it. Cool thing about this one is this client kind of wants the Singer Porsche version of a 240 Datsun. So we're keeping the original feel of this car.
His wallet in here. Like
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, this car is going to require an easy 200 or 300 hours worth of metal work alone. And then there's the detailing. We'll go all custom interior, all nice leather, but in the same feel of factory. So it'll be the same design as factory, but just updated, more nicer materials. We're going to keep the stock motor in this thing, but we're going to make it a stroker, and we're going to put Webers on it. It's going to get Watanabes and all nice suspension and everything. So this is going to be a pretty cool one when it's done, but
big job, man.
She's a few months away from being finished.
Let's show you some of the other organic modifications here. The floors has a hole about it that large in it.
This car basically came back from sandblaster. So this is basically, it came out from blasting, then we had it epoxy primed, and now we can start all our metal work on it. There's a lot. I mean, you can see the frame rails are all rotted out. Underneath the battery tray, it is everywhere. And the unfortunate thing with these cars is they actually rust from the inside out. So you'll see a little section where there's a big hole, but it might actually rot all the way over to here. So we make sure that we inspect everything on the inside and see how far the rust has actually gone, and then cut that all out and put all new metal in it.
Well, we'll have to check back in when this one's done.
In
the meantime, Pete, what do you say we go for a cruise in our lowrider right here, huh? Get my
this is you. This is all you, man.
Get all lean back in
Speed
here.
Academy Lowrider Edition.
It's kind of cool, right?
It is cool. I like it.
I'm not really biased to any type of car, brand, or genre of I guess, modification.
I think going for a cruise in this thing would be awesome.
Oh, it'd be super cool. I mean, it's all set up on hydros. It'll hop. It'll do 3 wheels and all that kind of stuff. And just to go take the girl out for a ride on a Sunday, and you get massive attention driving these things. You know, everyone loves a lowrider. So but yeah, this one's just in for a little bit of spring maintenance, a little bit of tuning on the carburetor and that. And it'll
we don't see this kind of stuff in Canada often either. Like this is more like a SoCal style.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there's a few car clubs in here, affiliated car club. They were the club that I used to be with years ago. before I actually got into drifting, I was kind of into
Really?
these things.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Neat.
before that all came and sucked all my money away, I was kind of into air suspension and the lowriders and that. So that's kind of why we get a few of these in here, because the guys kind of know
They
us
still know you, yeah.
from years ago.
Pete and I are kind of familiar with this chassis, but not as familiar as Pat. This is a Scion FRS chassis, right?
Yes, yeah, basically a Z-6 GT86, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's
This was kind of like a spare chassis from your drift program?
Yeah. This was the first one we got. It was a full-blown pro drift car. This car only had, I never put a 2J in this one. This one always had an FA20 in it. We did a lot of our early development was done on this chassis. And when we decided to make the switch to the 2J, I said, well, let's start with a fresh chassis. And we wanted a bunch of changes made. I didn't like there was some things we did to this that I didn't really like, so like I will build a fresh chassis, and this one had kind of just been sitting around for the past 3 years.
Right.
I've always been trying to do rally is really what it came down to. So I had this chassis, I was like, you know what, let's take a year off of drifting, and we'll develop a GTA for 86 for production 2-wheel drive rally.
Rally car, I love it.
Yeah. So unfortunately, to make this thing into a rally car, it's a bit of work. We had to cut out the entire drift roll cage because it doesn't meet the rally spec roll cages.
Yeah, got to be bigger tube and all that.
Yeah, bigger tube, a lot more bars. You know, we got to basically weld in a full trunk pan back into it. The body has to be pretty much factory for the rules that we're running in. Yeah, it's production 2-wheel drive. So the cool thing is we can run a factory engine, factory transmission, factory differential, all that stuff is pretty much going to be original. So we don't have to spend a lot of time, you know, modifying a bunch of shit that you would on a drift car.
And it'll be reliable that way too.
Yeah, it should be very reliable. It shouldn't be stressing out any parts. So, you know, hopefully you just go to the track or go to a race event and just have fun and not have to wrench on the thing all the time.
Just don't stuff it into a tree, Pat.
That's the scary thing about rally, and that's the kind of the cool thing about it too. I'm just excited to get out there and give it a try. And
we making a trip to Tall Pines, Peter? What do you think?
Maybe.
We'll be Pat's crew bitches for the weekend. Not happening. Sorry, buddy. Well, Sash is here with the dyno. Let's maybe wrap this thing up with some noise on the dyno. What do you think? Well, we wanted to show you a car making noises on the dyno, but it looks like Sash is troubleshooting stuff anyway. But come, Peter, it's a beam swap. It's a Beams Corolla, which is going to be very similar to my Beam Celica. This is a swap you've done before, right?
Yes, we've done it. We didn't do this particular car. This customer bought the car with the beams in it. We actually just put a Supra diff in it and did a couple little things to it.
A Supra diff?
Yeah, it's got a first generation Supra diff.
Oh, the MA46 rear end?
Yes, yeah. So it's it's a 7.5 ring gear, so it's a bit bigger than what the stock Corolla has, and you should be able to beat it up.
It's like a unicorn diff, man. I've been looking for one of those.
Yeah, I don't know where he found this diff, but yeah, very hard to find. So yeah, remake the mounts for it and sort of set it up so it works in a Corolla, and it's good to go. So then Sasha comes here and he handles all my tuning, you know. Sasha's a good guy, and it's always he
looks happy about what's going on right now.
Yeah, as it always is when Sasha shows up here. Usually it goes all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't, but that's just adventures of tuning is what I call that.
Dyno life, man. I don't think we can really show you any footage. Maybe we'll show you some footage of this on the dyno. Peter, you can make this happen. You're going to stick around for a while, so. Wrap on our quick and dirty tour of Cyrious Garageworks. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for coming by, guys.
We'll be here soon. You'll see more of this place. Come down and pay them a visit.
Follow them on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Yeah, at CyriousGarage.com or at Cyrious Garage.
Cool.
Cyrious Garageworks, Pat AE86. You know, we're all over the place. You'll find us.
They're on the internet. You'll find them.
Cool. Thanks, guys.